So if you have some questions, could you please, there will be somebody moving around with a microphone. Amal, first man. It's coming, the microphone is coming.
Hello, is it on? Yeah, my question is to Professor Santosh Panda. It's heartening to see that the new regulations are thinking about separate qualifications framework for teacher educators. Have the new regulations also considered how teacher educators would be prepared? Will there be separate courses and institutes for them? Or do we continue the present system where the same B.Ed and M.Ed qualified people happen to be teacher educators because they happen to teach teachers?
Okay, Professor Panda, would you like to respond to that?
Well, teacher educators are teacher educators that do have teacher education qualification. We do not expect, even in the name of interdisciplinarity, that anyone else other than teacher educators would get into becoming teacher educators. This is point number one, because insofar as regulation is concerned. But our integrated, this is what we are bringing in. We have not got into so far the National Teacher Educators Qualifications Framework. We will be working towards that. That's the future possibility and based on the teacher competencies at different levels. What I would say at this point of time is that therefore we are bringing in the integrated B.Ed, M.Ed programs, and these will be new programs, new institutions where non-teacher educators or non-education colleagues would get into. So if somebody has to become a teacher educator, one needs to have a dual degree. One needs to have a postgraduate degree in the discipline and also a teacher educator qualification. So therefore, this is a route for non-education people to get into teacher education. I think this is a fantastic question, and I think we have put that in place. Let us hope that nationally we accept that as a possibility, that multidisciplinary, any discipline they could get into, because in teacher education itself we have dearth of, I must say, dearth of talent. And therefore in terms of interdisciplinarity, let everybody decide not to get into any other profession but to come to teacher education. That will not be the case, but we do hope that some people will drop into this.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much indeed. The man in the front row there, yes? The microphone?
May I speak to Professor Tripathi? Sir, you have apprised us the statistical data about the performance of students in various subjects. I wish, as you have mentioned, the performance in mathematics declines. Are there certain parameters which can be used by the teachers that enhances the performance of students in mathematics? Because in addition to other subjects, mathematics also helps the student to have thinking skills inculcated. May I have your opinion and some strategies where the students can improve their thinking skills in mathematics? Thank you.
Yeah, I highly appreciate your question. In fact, as a part of the overall planning, now the mathematics has been given a special focus right from early level, and at the national level we have launched early mathematics program. This is also done for the language area also, early reading program. Parallel to that, an early mathematics program where the preschooling level and onward, some kind of support through the school is introduced. That is the one step forward. The second is that as far as the teacher's role you said, the performance indicators have been prepared for the teachers, as he was talking about the quality standards. So similarly, a more focused class-based or a school-based performance indicator for the teachers has also been prepared, which can be monitored at the school level or at the CRC or BRC level, which are the academic advisors and to support the school that have individual subject-wise parameters and also the holistic parameters.
Okay then, the man in the front row there. Do you want to speak into the microphone?
This question is to Professor Tripathi. So you have mentioned about the decline in the performance of the students over the years. What could be the possible reasons?
I tried to address during my deliberation that we have seen in class 3, there is improvement. But class 5 and class 8, we still have the pattern which was either in class first cycle or second cycle or third cycle. Rather, it is bit towards declining. There are two things that with the implementation of NCF 2005, there was a shift in the overall teaching learning strategy and the evaluation, because the overall objective of the National Curriculum 2005 is not to have the rote kind of memorization and rote learning. So to shift away from that, certain interventions were proposed. So certainly that has been reflected, that in the mathematics, especially and in science also, that this kind of thing had not yet visible as far as the many states are concerned. And the primary factors broadly too is that the teachers' performance there. Because further studies has shown that the teachers' training and teachers' understanding about the new curriculum or the implementation of the new syllabi, that is one important factor. Another factor is also that, see, this shift has led to the, again, the overall system of the school, like community, parents, teacher, school, everybody has to play some kind of role, because it is philosophically very good, but practically it is yet seen that not percolated to that level, but efforts are going on, seeing that this pattern would lead a better kind of understanding, analytical power in the learners. So I think we have to wait a little bit and see further.
Thank you very much. The lady in the fourth row with the glasses. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Good morning. I'm Manimala Roy. My question is to Dr. Tripathi. So, as the principal of a school and as a researcher also, I have interacted with lots of slum children. So, in your this National Achievement Survey, did you consider the medium of instruction as one of the variables? Because I have observed in both the situations that if the child is not comfortable with the medium of instruction, then the performance is low.
Very good and relevant question. See, the achievement survey is implemented, as I said, that throughout the country, we translate our items, seeing the medium of the instruction which is being followed, and accordingly we apply our test. So our item is translated in almost about, say, 18 languages or something like that. And we also see that, because I said that in the planning meeting, we interact with all the states, we look into all these parameters, and accordingly we prepare things.
Thank you very much. The lady in the second row. The microphone, please. It's there.
So as a school leader, our biggest concern is the quality of teachers who come to us to teach our children. You've suggested, there are two questions. I'd like to compress both questions in my single opportunity of asking them. So the first question is, of course, while if you do a survey of school students and ask them, how many of you actually want to become teachers? Very few. I would say with a lot of motivation, one might put up their hand amongst 40 students. So therefore, you are suggesting that there be an integrated program for teacher education. Do you think there would be many takers for an integrated program for teacher education as compared to an engineering course or a law course? Because many of the teachers who are coming to us now are those who are left behind from these courses who are actually coming to become teachers and teacher educators. Now, that is the first question. The second question is, in continuation with what the earlier gentleman said, regarding teacher educators, have you ever contemplated utilizing the services of the educators who are in the field? Because many teacher educators who are there are those who've never, ever entered the portals of a school. They have been educators of theory, of never having entered the school. They really have never encountered real life problems of teachers or head teachers or principals. Have you ever thought of doing this reverse cycle of perhaps utilizing the services of some of the best educators in the system, leaders in the system, to train the leaders for the future?
Two really good questions, weren't they? Yeah, fantastic.
Thank you very much. As much as you are practical, I am extremely practical guy, you see. So therefore, I do believe that NCF and NCFTE 2009, I take a cue that why these have not been implemented. We do fantastic discourse in roundtables and jot it down as good documents and do have a fantastic media coverage. It doesn't get down to the context. What therefore we are proposing is that a few things in order. One, as you said, that many good students don't decide to become teachers, but that's not India, that's what everywhere in the world. That's point number one. And therefore we need to do together internationally to see that many get into teaching as a profession. Two, as you said, that these integrated programs, and therefore, you see, we have a choice. Either we have students who are filtered down, and therefore the last choice could be, there could be many who could be first choice as teaching. Last choice is to become a teacher or teacher educator eventually. Teacher educator, I do not necessarily mean only universities, there are teacher educators everywhere. NGOs everywhere, there are teacher educators. Therefore, very consciously we are bringing into and therefore encouraging universities and SCRTs to get into integrated programs, because integrated programs will bring in a commitment of quality input or intake at the initial stage and to become teacher educators in future. If somebody is getting into a BSc B.Ed or BA B.Ed or in elementary BA-Ed, for the first time BA-Ed we are making as a national flagship program. It was in Delhi University only, and we have made changes to that. And if we are taking that, we eventually would say that tomorrow you end up with an M.Ed elementary education and a PhD in elementary education. So I think integrated program would attract more committed. How more, I do not know, 0.5, 1%, 2%, maybe at beginning. This is just a thinking, so therefore when we implement, we'll get into that. Simultaneously, we are saying that, like for instance, Delhi University, Jamia, they didn't do that because there is not a subject like commerce in secondary. In senior secondary, there is commerce. So therefore, it is only BA and BSc that are getting into B.Ed, for instance. And no become applies because they know that they will not become teachers because there is not a teaching seat for them to get employment. But we are saying not only that, we're also saying this time, for consciously, we have taken a decision, we are waiting for national reaction, that a BE, Bachelor of Engineering, and a B.Tech with physics, chemistry, and especially mathematics can get into become a secondary school teacher, a TZT, and eventually a PhD, because if one has MSc, would become a PhD and gradually a teacher educator. This is also another way to say that somebody who's getting into engineering, if we at all you believe that engineering students are better than those who are coming to teachers, then certainly we have provided a pathway for them to get into this. And the second question, that teacher educators in the field, what we have consciously done this time is that we have left everything to the affiliating body, the universities and SCRTs and state departments of education, that you decide. And therefore, we, by hand-holding, I do not mean we simply hold the hand. By hand-holding, we will do plenty of things that we have in store, including some of the things online at a distance also. What we propose is that there are, and in the regulation, in the norms and standards, it is compulsory that the universities and SCRTs must bring in the retired teacher educators or teacher educators from the NGO. In terms of, I just given one example, this is a very serious question. You see, in terms of all institutions are concerned with this, it's become a legal issue in the future also. That if you say that for teaching B.Ed, for instance, we have said 16 faculty members. Now it's a 2 years B.Ed. Every institution has to shift to a 2 years B.Ed. And the first year they make preparation to shift to the second year. And we say 100 students who are taking now, we can take 50. But the government institutions can be multiplied by 4. They can take 200 at one time and 2 years, 400 students, whereas a private will end up with 50 plus 50, 100 students. If it is so, what we're simply saying, that if there is a requirement common minimum of 16 faculty members, teacher educators to teach B.Ed, We are simply saying that we leave this to the institution and the affiliating university to see and to balance how many would become permanent. We are not saying contractual. How many will become permanent and how many would become guest faculty. That guest within quote would include all kinds of teacher educators, all kinds of educators, I must say, not teacher educators, who would be getting into. And our assumption is that many universities, and especially in private institutions, because they are not in a position to employ otherwise full-time teachers and teacher educators. I think both ways we do hope that it will not backfire, it will make some change, it will make some contribution to the quality of teacher education in the country.
Okay, thank you very much indeed. Any more questions? Questions from, okay, yes, the lady there in the fourth row.
All right, good morning, everyone. I'm Rupa Chakravarti. I think, I mean, beautiful question that she asked, and what the trend is today, that even people who are in other fields of work are thinking of teaching only when they have a child. I'm talking about ladies mostly. And since this is a trend which has started now, we also have teachers who are engineers coming in to teach. So because you have an MBA program which is integrated with engineering, why don't we think of an optional or offer to give them a teaching program which they could opt for, along with whether they are engineers or whether they have any other passion that they are following in their education. So this is just a thought which came to my mind as we were speaking, because MBA is integrated with engineering. So what's your view on that?
I'm sure we are not talking about an MBA in teaching. I'm eliminating that at the first instance. But then what we are simply saying is, and what you said, is that if you provide an option of teaching as a paper, as a course, as a module, it will be a pleasant thing to do.
Yes.
But it will not lead to a seriousness into becoming a teacher, forget about teacher educator. Therefore, what we said, we deliberated on this, and then what we said, that somebody who is an engineering graduate, who is a BTech, a Bachelor of Technology and Bachelor of Engineering, unless they would like to become engineer or technologist, we would give them an option to get into teaching as a profession and eventually become teacher educator, but to be seriously grounded in the pedagogy of teaching and pedagogy of the subject. So I would distinguish, therefore, with due respect, I would distinguish, therefore, that yes, many, that could be next step, because many could be given an option that here, you know, when the British Open University initiated Open Learn, that here's a course for, you know, the whole idea was that if you get that credit, this is what MOOC is all about today, that if you get into that, and if that credit is transferred to your full-time study, then you would be more interested in that. Then certainly, if that kind of a module or a course of that engineering graduate would eventually contribute to the assessment and to the credit and the total score, and tomorrow that guy graduate decides to get into teaching, would be a fantastic idea.
Absolutely.
I think we have got into the first step, that allowing for the first time in the country the engineering and technology graduates to get into teaching. And second could be that just like MOOC and those credit-based, we could open up modules to them and then say that eventually you may not, you could still decide to get into teaching. But then once you get into that, you have to be seriously grounded in teaching as per the regulation is concerned.
Okay, thank you very much indeed. We've got time for one last question. The young man in the brown jacket. It worked okay yesterday.
Hi, I'm Debanjan Chakravarti. I work for the British Council. My question is primarily to Professor Tripathi. This is about the role of textbooks in ensuring quality in education. And I'm taking a cue from the question from this lady here, that why do we see in state after state after state that textbook committees are constituted by people who have no idea of what goes on in classrooms? Why are textbooks written by university professors? In most cases, the last time they have been in a classroom was when they were in that particular class. This is, I think, having worked on a textbook project in my state in West Bengal, I can guarantee you that this is the biggest challenge that's coming in the way of quality education for many, many learners across India.
Thank you very much for that uncontroversial question. Thank you.
It's a very exciting question. The first thing that, as far as the textbook point is concerned, the NCF has said very clearly, NCF has 4 guiding principles. The first is shifting away from rote learning. The second is providing opportunity to go beyond textbook and saying very clearly that textbook is only one kind of resource which is now in this 21st century we should see for the learners. So the textbook alone is not the parameter for the quality improvement. The second aspect, that as far as the textbook development then come, again NCF took a view that so far it's a single author, one chapter kind of scenario in the country. So we proposed a textbook development committee that consists of the practicing teacher, the teacher educator, 1 or 2 people who are working from outside in the NGO sector and they have experiences, college associated professors and university experts, because multiple things are involved. You have the quality assurance as far as the authenticity of the statement. You have the new kind of frontier knowledge to be integrated. You have to see the practices which is going on in the school and how learner is feeling comfortable at what level. You have to see the teachers, their role. So this kind of composition of committee has been flagged for the country. And we developed our book in that manner, and that is open. All textbooks, we have about 20, 25 people who have the composition, as I said. That is for the NCERT. Now then we are advisory body, our books are only mandated for the Central Board of Secondary Education, even with some kind of amendments that have also been get that kind of, because they're also an autonomous body, they may not follow 100%. So certainly they are not following 100%, they're following about 75 to 80%. Their English books are different, there are something. But science, mathematics, no, broadly this is what the situation. As far as the states are concerned, then we had advisory with the states, with our all kind of efforts which are doing through the achievement survey, through our quality improvement programs, capacity building programs, extension programs, and almost it's a heartening situation that 18 to 20 states, they have agreed to this formula, and rather they have adopted or adapted NCERT, because that option is given. There are regional variations. When we're talking about economics, when we're talking about geography, when we're talking about the resources, there are regional variations. So 15 to 20% flexibility, you take our model, you make amendment, you take copyright from us. If you feel that, okay, in toto some books are, can be implemented, you take that also, it's open. So this kind of movement is now on, and I'm hopeful that the result will have a positive impact. Thank you very much.